Good morning. Welcome to the next bit of my accordion restoration. I've been doing some work on the reed blocks. I've been revolving and re-waxing. Haven't done any tuning yet, and I was going to do the tuning of the reeds, but I thought I'm going to put an extra step in before I do the tuning of the reeds, and that little step is something I like to do on the treble side, because on the treble side we have the keys attached by a steel rod and a spring loaded onto the wooden pallet. So the wooden pallet is opening up the holes on the treble side of the accordion. Now these pallets, I've taken one off so I can show you. These pallets have a backing of leather, and sometimes you've got some felt as a cushion and then the leather on the top. Now this leather is going to give you the seal over the hole. When the key's not pressed, it will be sitting over the hole and give you a nice seal. Now as you can see on this one, you can just see it starting to little shapes of circles where it's been sitting over the holes. So it's been on there for a little while, and it's kind of been compressed a little bit. So this leather isn't so soft and thick, so when you press the key you can hear it kind of clattering a little bit. So what I want to do is to improve the feel of the accordion and also the seal of the pallets over the holes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some extra leather to the pallets. So if I could just put that down for a second. So here is the pallet, and I've got some very soft leather. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave that leather on there because it's all nicely fixed, it's all glued on securely, but then I'm going to stick some of this very soft, thin, high quality leather over the pallet on the top of it. So it's going to create an extra little layer, and that will give an extra little bit of cushioning and also some nice leather to seal against the hole and to make that really nice. So I'm going to take the pallets off, and I'm going to stick some more leather straight on top of there. So to get the pallets off, it's quite easy. If I could just angle this down a minute. There we go. So what I need to do is to remove the wooden block from the arm. So there's a little bit of tape that's just been on there. So I'm going to remove the tape. And that's just a nice little cover. And then as I just pull the key up, I'm just going to twist the pallet. There we go. And that pallet's come off. So I've just got a little bit of probably an all-purpose glue that's been gluing that in. It kind of feels quite rubbery, so just not a super glue or anything. It's just probably just a general purpose glue that stuck that in. What I'm going to do, I'm going to clean off all of the excess, all the glue inside that little slot there, and clean that up. And then I'm going to then get all the pallets off, do the same thing to them. Once I've got them all off, I'm then going to set them onto my leather and stick them down. So what I'll do next is I'll get all these pallets off and clean them up, and then I'll show the next stage of adding some leather to the back of the pallets, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so I'll just get these all off and then show you how we're getting on. Okay, so all the pallets have now come off. I'm just going to clean up the steel arms, get any residue of glue off of the arms so they're nice and clean. All the pallets have now taken off, so I'm going to clean off all of the glue and the tape and everything else, but leave the leather on the back. And as soon as I've got all these cleaned up, I'll come back and I'll show you how I'm going to then fix the new leather onto the face of the pallet. Okay. Now then, this is the good bit. So I've done all the taken all the pallets off, and I've cleaned them up, cleaned up the slots, taken off all the residue of glue and everything else in there, so it's all nice and clean. I'm going to then put some glue onto the leather there. I'm using some fast tack all-purpose craft glue, which is really good for things like this. So I've put some in a little plastic container, and I'm going to get a little brush. So nice and straightforward, just going to get my little bit of glue. Just going to glue some fast tack glue onto all the edges of that leather. It's nice and neat. And then I'm just going to pop that onto my nice piece of leather. So I'm going to pop it in the corner, and I'm just going to press it down and try to get the maximum number of pallets onto the leather, because the leather is quite expensive and I don't want to waste any. Because what I'm going to do, I'm going to push it all onto there, put a weight on the top, leave it for a few hours, and then with a scalpel I'm going to cut all the pallets, or cut around all the pallets to remove them, and then I can then refit the pallets onto the arms of the treble side keys. So there we are, nice little coating of glue. Pop it next door to the other one, put that on there, push it down. So I'll just carry on with that for a minute, come back when I've stuck it all down. Okay, I've just finished gluing all of the pallets onto the soft leather with my fast tack craft glue. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put a block of wood, which is just the right size, on top of those pallets. And then I'm going to put some books on top of that. So if I just maybe aim it down a little bit. Sorry, excuse me a second. That's better. I'm going to put some books on the top of that. Like so. And I've just got a couple of weights somewhere as well. There we go. So that's just weighting it all down. I'll leave it for a couple of hours, and then once that's all been dried and ready to go, I'm going to cut out the pallets, and then I'll show you how to refix the pallets back onto the arms of the treble side keys. Okay, just going to have a look at the pallets. So let's take the weights off. Books off, take the flat bit of wood off, and here we go. So there we have the pallets, are nicely stuck onto the soft leather. So that's all looking really nice. So the next step is I'm going to cut the pallets away from each other so they're all separate. So if I just put this back a little bit. It's always good to have a towel or something on here to stop things rolling around and just keep everything nice and also prevent scratches. So I've got a chopping board somewhere. Where's my chopping board? Got a chopping board. Here we are, chopping board. I'm going to find a nice sharp craft knife. Aha! And now the next thing is just simply to be cutting very carefully the pallets out. So I'll just do one because it's not the most exciting thing ever to watch, but it's just to show that I'm doing it. So get a nice sharp craft knife, I'm going to cut down as close to the edge as I can. Go. And so what you end up with is a really nice faced pallet with a really nice piece of soft leather. So what I'll probably do is I'll just go around the edges a little tiny bit further with a sharp knife and just get every little bit, last little edges off, so it's really neat. And I'll do that to all the pallets, and once they're all like that, then we'll have a go at putting them back onto the arms of the piano keys. So I'm going to do those now and just come back. Okay, there we are. So that's the oopsie, all the pallets have been cut and trimmed. The treble side is ready to be sorted now with the pallets popped on. So what I'm going to do next is heat up the hot glue gun. So I'm going to put a little drop of hot glue just to hold the pallet onto the arm. So I'll just heat up the glue gun, and when that's ready we'll get cracking with putting the pallets back onto the accordion. Okay, so I've just slid the first pallet onto the arm, making sure it's sitting over the holes evenly, so covering all the holes, not too high, too low, or at an angle, so that's covering it nicely. Once I've got that first pallet on, I'm doing the inside line first because they're the hardest ones, and I've got the outside ones on first. It'd be hard to get to the inside ones, so inside ones first. Now I'm going to put a drop of hot glue just to fix that one in place. So I'm just going to be very careful. And that's the first one done. Whoa, sometimes it gets a bit stringy. Helps have a little bit of a cloth just to clean up any of the stringiness. That's the first one done. So what I'll do, I'll go along all of the pallets, slide them onto the arms, apply a little bit of hot glue, and I'll show you at the end. All done. There we are. So we've got all the pallets nicely fixed onto the arms, and I'll turn it over that way. It's nice coverage of all the holes, haven't got any gaps, so the leather is actually covering the holes when the keys are closed, and it's got a nice little feel to it as well. Okay, so that's the refacing the treble side pallets. Hope you enjoyed the video.